Yo, what's good, people? We back at it for another episode of What's the Word with LJ Mental Podcast. As always, you know what it is. I'm your host with the most, LJ. Back up in here for another week. Oh man, it's March 23rd, 2022. Another Wednesday. Yeah, man, we back up in there. So this week, you know, the last few weeks been kind of really trying to dive in a little deeper on like different meanings of things. Like the word of the week last week was truth and keeping it real. Just focusing on how different morals and things like that. So this week I want to dive into a couple of different things. Really kind of a couple different layers of how my word of the week is. So word of the week this week is going to be identity. Now, reason, okay, so what's up with that? So, identity, someone was like, what you was a representation, like who actually are you as a person, as a business, as a brand, whatever. It's a lot of ways, you can define identity, but especially like who is you, your person, your background, family tree, all that good stuff. So yeah, I want to attack this from a couple different layers. But before I get into that, I want to talk about this TV show real quick on Netflix. Uh, it kind of relates to my word of the week. Before I get into how it does, I just want to talk about the show real quick. As well, I'm talking about Top Boy. Top Boy is a show. If you haven't seen it or heard of it, it's a show based in the UK and London, and some similar shows out there. Like I guess you can kind of similar to Snowfall in a way, The Wire. Not so much power, but there's a couple characters. Two of the main characters of the show kind of remind me of some of the characters from Power, but as a whole, like it's a really dope show, and it's interesting to see here somebody here in the United States, how, especially as a black man in the U.S., to see how they navigate in the UK. Because I haven't been there yet. Hopefully, I'll travel there one day. But just seeing how they navigate, and I've met a couple people from the UK before, and just how they, for one, obviously the accent is different. Obviously, just the words they use, the slang they use on Top Boy, like it's dope to me. I just love seeing different cultures, how they operate and how they say bruv, like we say bro, they say bruv, and uh, yeah, just a couple different little things that they say and do. But yeah, the season two of Top Boy on Netflix just premiered this past Friday. Technically, it's season four overall because it had two short seasons before it came on Netflix years ago. Um, Before Netflix was even around, uh, it was called, I think, just Top Boy then. That was in the UK on television. And when it was brought back to Netflix in 2019, they called it Top Boy. And then now the old show is on Netflix. It's called Top Boy Summer House, but it's pretty much the same show. But there's a lot of characters on there that's not on the show they have now. Two of the main characters that have been around since day one, since the OG version of Top Boy. But yeah, they still around, and man, it's a lot of crazy stuff that happened, and but yeah, to me, this season is dope. I'm not gonna spoil it. All I want to say is, yeah, I did binge watch this over the weekend, and yeah, the ending to the season. If you haven't seen it, yeah, it's a shocker. I didn't see it coming. It's crazy, but if you watch the season, some of the events that led up to it, the ending kind of, you can, if you go back and think about it and look at it, like okay, I can see why that happened, but it's crazy and it's messed up, and I'm disappointed. Um, and one of the characters that's gone, I'm disappointed, but But yeah, it's good show. Now it was a particular scene this season that just premiered that really got me thinking here. Uh, and then, like I said, I'm not gonna spoil nothing, but this particular scene in the middle of the season, uh, these guys in the black guys in the courtroom, and this kind of relates to my word of the week, identity. So, dude is in the courtroom, right? And the judge or the bailiff, whatever, I don't know if they use the same terminology there. But yeah, he's in the courtroom and they ask him a few questions. And one of the questions was, what's your nationality? And he said, British. So, okay. But it's interesting to me, right? Because over here in the U.S., they asked him that same question in the courtroom. He could have said black, African American, uh, whatever. So it's just interesting to me that over there in the UK, and I know other countries as well, like Canada and all of that, and I've had this kind of discussion before as far as how in the United States who don't that is in the UK they don't say like, oh, I'm African British or I'm black, or you just say British. That's it. That's it. And it's interesting how we in the U.S. As black people, we gotta directly identify as somebody saying we African American or black or something like that, which we are. So rather than just saying American, even on you fill out a job application or you fill out certain forms, health forms, whatever, they're gonna ask you this question. And when I've had conversations with somebody in Canada in the UK before, and he was like, really, you don't have like that on job applications or forms of race or anything. So it's very interesting that they still have that in the U.S. And it's almost like an identity crisis because we're not saying we don't know who we are as black people, but a lot of it just really brings up the point, and I thought it was a good opportunity to bring it up as far as like identity, especially as like minorities. Some others as well, like some white folks may not necessarily be able to identify directly who they are. But my point is like I've had because I used to go to Canada quite often, and sometimes some folks would ask me over there, knowing that I was from the United States, and they would ask like, "So what's your background? Like where you come from?" Like, and they found it interesting that I say, "Yeah, I'm American," rather than saying like I'm from like Jamaica or I don't know somewhere in Africa directly, like Nigeria or any country in Africa or Ghana, whatever. Um, because a lot of black folks over there, they directly, because they're direct descendants of somebody that's from the islands like Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, or somewhere in Africa. So to have most of the roots, directly in the United States, as far as and I think a lot of because I've had conversations as well, people over here like a lot of black folks can't directly identify with another country, whereas a lot of white folks over here they might directly identify as Irish, so their background might be from Ireland or they might be from somewhere in Europe, whether it's Italy, um, France, England, wherever. They directly identify with somewhere in Europe or Ukraine, wherever. So, but over here in the United States, like it's different from like I said, Canada, UK, or black folks or other minorities. They have directly identify with a country, even Hispanics. You can somehow directly identify with Mexico, uh, Puerto Rico, even though it's part of the United States, but it wasn't always. But they directly. My point is, you directly identify with something in your heritage, so to speak. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting time to bring this up as far as what they showed on Top Boy, that particular scene, as far as like you just say, hey man, I'm from here. This is no dash in between. I'm not African British. I'm not black British. I'm just British, right? If yeah, like I said, if they would ask them that in America, they would have said, you probably would have said, yeah, I'm black or I'm African American or something like that, most likely. So, which is is pride, and I'm proud to be black, but it's just wild that we still to this day have such a identity crisis because of what's happened in this country. A lot of us were unwillingly, our ancestors were unwillingly brought over here to the U.S. And a lot of us can't directly identify where we come from. A lot of us been rooted in slavery, and I know the United States is not the only place that has slavery. I definitely understand that, but it's crazy that it's such a more of an identity crisis going on still to this day in the United States as opposed to some other countries. And yeah, and I did. And what is identity? Like I said, identity can be quite a few different things, but yeah, in this sense, I'm referring to like your background as a family tree. Because when I first was asked that from a Canadian, as far as like background, like I honestly didn't even know what to say at the time because I didn't know. All I knew was like my grandparents come from the South. I come from up north in New York. But yeah, I don't know. My grandparents come from the South, and both sides, and I know before them they were directly rooted in slavery. So other than that, ties to the United States, not knowing directly if we tied to somewhere before that, tied to somewhere in Africa or Jamaica or somewhere like that. But yeah, it's interesting that a lot of other and there's a lot of black folks in the United States that do directly identify with or have come from another country, because there's a lot of people from Jamaica over here. It is very diverse in the United States. But yeah, it's interesting how everything has played out over the years. Whether you got like the parents come over here to U.S. Directly, whether your parents are already over here, your grandparents are already over here, or but yeah, it's just wild to me how that all plays up over time. You get older, you learn about this type of stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to take some time this week to directly reflect on that as far as the identity part. Now, I said I wanted to attack this from a couple different layers, right? So, aside from like your race and background, let's talk about another aspect of it. Like, who are you as a person? And this is not even just a minority thing. Like, who are you, right? Who really are you as far as like identity? Like I said, identity can mean a couple different things. Like, what do you like? Your homeboys, your homegirls, your family. How do they see you, right? As far as like leaving, like if you not around, like somebody asks them, like, what do you like about them? What are they good at? That's like identity, right? Identity, like they know obviously who you are, like what's your name, but what my point I'm trying to get at is like what are you known for? Because or what is your mannerisms like? What do you actually like? What do you bring to the table? All these different things, right? So who are you as a person? Are you a good person, a bad person? Do you like to laugh a lot? All this stuff. Are you serious all the time? That's your identity, right? Like, not to put labels on people because I mean it is a little bit too much of that, but it is like a point of like I think it is important to have like an identity as a person like who aside from not just your name, not your identification card, your license, whatever you got in your wallet or a purse, whatever you carry. But yeah, aside from that, like who actually are you as a person? That's what I'm trying to get at, right? Because I think it's important for people to really sit back and look rather than just going by day to day, just living life just because, and get really into the meaning of like what is your y'all, you know. And I'm not talking about no changing genders or having nothing like that because they're just pushing a lot of that now. I'm just talking about like who are you as a person, right? As far as like what's your emotions most of the time, like how do you react to other people, right? That stuff does matter over time. That's why I believe like first impressions are big because somebody meet you for the first time, they don't know who the hell you are really yet. Um, they can identify your interaction with them, your experience with them, right? So that's your identity with them. So even though they might necessarily know who you are, like I said, that's how they identify you, right? So because a lot of things have an identity, right? We say like if you got business, you gotta. They use this analogy in sports all the time. Like, what's that team's identity, right? Are they good at defense? Are they pass centric? Can they high flying, all that good stuff? If you own a business, right? What's that business identity, right? Like, what are they known for? What are they good at? Um, and it's great to establish that too, like target audience, all that good stuff. Uh, I feel like you can do that as an individual as well, as far as identifying, like, you know, personally and professionally, obviously, right? Because, like, what are you as a person? Who are you as a person? Because it's good to really sit back and think about that as far as the identity part, as far as because a lot of us, we all busy, right? We all living our lives. If you grown, especially, you got a million things going on to do. I know I got a million different things going on, so I'm sure a lot of y'all, if you take the time to listen to me here, I appreciate that. Um, Jay-Z got a line, one of his songs, you could be anywhere in the world. Well, before you start the lyrics, he said, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. I appreciate that. But yeah, not to get too far off topic here, but yeah. You really could be anywhere in the world, but if you here listening to me, I do appreciate that. So yeah, you got a million different things going on, right? But a lot of people don't sit back, take the time. That's why the pandemic was. Some people look at it maybe as the worst time ever, and we still not completely out of the pandemic, obviously, especially with possibly a new variant coming out now, which is annoying. Tired of all these damn variants, but it is what it is. We gotta keep going. But yeah, it gave us time to. I really think a lot of us to. We really had no choice but to reflect on possibly things you might have been neglecting. Maybe it was family. Maybe it was reflecting on who you are as a person. Maybe you too caught up in work, for example. Um, but sometimes we shouldn't take a pandemic to really appreciate what we have. Sometimes we take a lot of stuff for granted, right? And sometimes you have family gatherings and people get together maybe once or twice a year because they feel like it's whatever a tradition or whatever. But yeah, instead of really taking the time to appreciate what you have, who you have, who have you treated that person with respect, or is that directly reflective of who you are, right? Is that your identity of who you are? And I thought it was a good time this week. And like I said, I wanted to attack this from a couple layers. I started with, you know, especially as black folks. And I feel like not just black people too, but definitely more probably black people of identity crisis. Not saying we don't know who we are as a people, but as far as like being a directly identified heritage family tree, as far as who we are, especially in America, where we don't directly say we American for the most part. Some of us do, but like as far as like you as a black Canadian, they probably say, yeah, I'm Canadian, or might come from Jamaica or Trinidad, wherever they come from, but most of them not. Either their parents or grandparents are from somewhere else, whereas a lot of us in America, um, our grandparents and great grandparents are here in the United States, and some not all of us, because some of us, like I said, come from all over the place, different countries, but a lot of us don't know directly where we come from. And there's been I've had so many different conversations about, because some black folks believe that we really are the natives here in the beginning. I've had that conversation as well. Uh, but yeah, I'm not going to get too far into that. But yeah, I really just want to take this time to come at it from a couple different ways, as far as who directly, like heritage, race, obviously, and it's too much of that. I don't believe in that saying that some white folks use. I don't see color. There's nothing wrong with seeing color. It's just how you react to it. There's no need to treat somebody less than because of the color of their skin. There's no need to do that. It's okay to see like, oh, you black. That's cool, but treat them with the same respect as you would somebody else, right? Uh, but yeah, the whole point, yeah, is I just want to give some people some little nuggets, right, to really think about this type of stuff, right? And like, there's a lot of conversations being had out there already, but directly reflective on who you are, what's your background, and who are you actually as a person. Hopefully, you bring in some positivity in the air. You can, and you never know, you can make somebody's day. You really never know what somebody else is going through. You might be going through a bunch of shit yourself, but you just never know. If this could be the smallest act of kindness could make somebody's day. You really just never know. I've had a couple people tell me that before. I was having a bad day, I thought, and I think just the smallest gesture could really make somebody's day. You just never know. But yeah, this whole topic this week about the whole identity thing is really just to not really call nobody out, but really just think about a couple different ways on this. That's what this whole thing is about. Just to really not spend too much time on it. Obviously, because obviously, like I said earlier, a lot of us all got a bunch of stuff to do, and I get it. But sometimes, yeah, we really do need to sit back and think about this stuff. I think it's important to address this stuff rather than keep a certain stuff bottled up and not really reflecting and talking about it. But yeah, so yeah, that's gonna be it for me. I said word of the week was identity. Attacked it from a couple different layers. Hope I did a good job explaining that. If anybody listening didn't like it or love it, get at me. That's cool. Either way, that's cool. But I'm about to get up out of here. So yeah, as always, remember to stay safe, stay positive. Definitely stay sucker free. Get them suckers out of your life. Don't be around them. Alright, I'm out.